Good evening mga kalaro and welcome to the Council of Titos, the show on the Laro Laro Lang channel where Sportitos talk about a different kind of game. The reality TV game show and social experiment that has run for over 2 decades, Survivor. I am Chief Bisdak Joel Parcon, and with me for tonight's episode, for tonight's council, is my fellow Bisdak, Jao Atienza. What's up, Jao?
Hey, so like Vice Chief Bisdak isn't gonna be a thing.
It can be, yeah.
Cumbersome.
Vice Chief Bisdak Jao. We got that. All right. So yeah, Vice Chief Bisdak Jao is here with us tonight. Unfortunately, our third council member, Martin, couldn't be with us. Hopefully, he can join us in the next council meeting. As we delve into a new season of our favorite, one of our favorite TV shows, especially my favorite, like reality TV show, we're going to give our thoughts about the first episode of Survivor Season 42, which premiered this past week. We're going to take a look at everything that happened and give our own thoughts and opinions about what transpired. So, Jao, what do you think about the opening of season 42?
Just so that people know, right? Like this is after, if you guys didn't watch the last episode, wait, I shouldn't be saying you guys because that's apparently not a thing now. If y'all haven't watched like or heard the previous Council of Titos episode, my journey into Survivor is simultaneously very long and very short. I've only ever watched like 4 seasons. That was like the first 3 and 41, right? So like
he hasn't even watched the Winners at War. You should watch that. That's like one of the best seasons ever. Anyway,
yeah, but so like I'm watching 41, seeing Jeff Probst break the fourth wall. I just thought that was like, okay, this is a normal thing that's been going on for like the past 10 seasons or whatever, that I just didn't really catch, that I just didn't really catch, right? But then like talking to you and like Martin recently, you guys were talking about like, no, this is a completely new Jeff Probst. He's usually like a bit of an ass.
Yeah, he's gotten a whole lot friendlier in the past couple of seasons.
Yeah, so I don't know. This is it is just as new to me as it is to you, I guess, in that way. But I can't compare it really to anything, from previous seasons. But that is to say, it's quite interesting to see him break the fourth wall like that. Like I remember like watching like an interview with him or something, talking about how he wants to appeal to like a younger generation or whatever, and that just seems exactly like the type of thing that one would do if they were trying to appeal to sort of a younger audience in like the kids or whatever.
Yeah, and we will see, and we did see that all across, especially this first episode of this season. You can see that they're trying to get into that angle of being a more of an inspirational show. We're gonna talk about it a lot more later. But how about all of those? The first episode, you usually don't get too many confessionals, but right off the bat, even before they meet Jeff Probst, we already have like 9 mini confessionals from 9 different Survivor castaways. I mean, that's, for me, that's unprecedented. I don't remember like seeing that many people talking right away. So they really want, you can see that they really want the audience to connect right away to the castaways.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like, they mentioned that instead of like focusing on something that they would like to focus on in the quote unquote new era of Survivor is having a good cast.
Yeah. What are your first impressions based on those first lines that they gave? Do you have any first impressions?
This seems like a good cast. Don't you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, we've got a lot of. I mean, we the first confessional that we had got was from the big guy, Jonathan. My God, Jonathan, the big dude. And then he was followed by Drea. I looking at that lineup of who got the first few confessionals, I think that they're telling us, okay, these are the people you have to look out for
Hmm.
because they're the ones who talk right off the bat.
That was something that I didn't notice, that they had, like they had confessionals like right at the beginning. It didn't really stand out to me. Again, it could be because like I'm not, you know,
You haven't been like what you've
yeah,
only
I
just
haven't
gotten
been
back
watched.
into the
Yeah.
Survivor. Yeah. So Zhao is coming into this whole thing from someone who just got back to Survivor. Meanwhile, I've been on and off actually still been watching the past couple of seasons. But yeah, I mean, and one of those mini confessionals was, I think that you mentioned this in our group chat, a parallel to Erica's from Lamb to Lion, and you prefer that to this guy's Omar's analogy of to what he's gonna be.
Yeah, yeah.
Care to share
An
that with
owl in the night, right? He wanted to be an
yeah
owl in the night. From
from
a
a
pigeon
pigeon
to
to
an
an
owl
owl
in
in
the
the night.
night.
Yeah. So yeah, what do you think of his analogy?
That was a winner's quote, right? Like like they're putting out the winner's quotes. Like,
Yeah, because
I don't know.
that's like Erica. That's how they basically that was the theme of her story in season 41. So are we gonna see
Yeah.
a similar, or is it? Are we gonna see a similar thing happening this season, or was that a fake out?
Actually, it could be. It could be just like a
Right?
fake out. Like, oh, yeah. I don't know. It is, to my mind. It was like they already did the animal analogy thing, and if they
Uh-huh.
do it twice in a row, it's just gonna be like, you know.
And to think that Omar is a veterinarian, so he's
Yeah.
like really the animal guy. But why do you, I kind of get it, you know, pigeon is like they call it, don't they call it like the rodent of the sky,
Yeah.
that you don't really like being around, and then all of a sudden he's gonna be the owl in the night.
Who you still wouldn't like to be around, like.
And it was weird because he had a couple of other analogies. I watched this one breakdown of the episode, and then he did have another analogy. And after I rewatched, I took note of it. He had this whole, I forgot what his first animal was, but the second animal was like a rhino. So you sort of I sort of thought, okay, he was gonna go with that, but no, he went from pigeon to owl, which was weird. All
Yeah,
right.
because I guess because he said something like, as a veterinarian, he's not, he might have a day where in the course of his work he's going to have his put his fist up a rhino's butt or something. So to call himself a rhino would be to say that he's like.
Yeah, probably, probably, probably.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. And then you have these other castaways giving their quick 2 seconds of about the show, right? You've got Lydia, the Gen Z, the the Gen Z castaway, one of the several Gen Z castaways on this season. And you look at her and you see like, okay, is this kid gonna last in this season? Because she's like the fish out of water. You've got Lydia, you've got Zach,
Yeah.
you've got uh, Marianne, even Marianne, the Gen Z kids, who are probably like fish out of water, but they don't get as fish out of water as Lydia, who says that she isn't used to going outdoors and she doesn't like sand. She's like, is she Anakin or something?
Yeah, she doesn't like sand. What was it? It was a big moment for her when she was like, "I've been here for 2 days and I'm not crying." Like that was her, right?
Yeah, that was her. That was her.
I'm like, oh, all right. So Survivor is about like growth now. Like the story of Survivor is, or the narratives that Survivor wants to sort of put out there are stories of growth.
Yeah, and and we do see that with a lot of the castaways. A lot of them, I noticed that with this cast, a lot of them are in it more for the experience rather than really going in it to win it. A lot of them are
Mm.
looking for an experience where they either figure something out about themselves or they have a message
Right.
that they want to get out there. Yeah, we'll get to a lot of those points as we go along. Uh, yeah, and you know, your favorite, your one of your top pick to win it all. High also had like a had a turn, like he wanted to prepare
That
for the
was so
twists.
funny.
Yeah, but anyway, going off
That
right
twist
off
was
the boat.
hilarious.
Yeah, prepare for the twists. Yeah, right off the boat, the castaway who gets noticed by Probst is Marianne,
Marianne.
one of the most, I could say, brightest. I mean, she's like she has like this bright energy as she left off the boat. She had a big smile on her face, and you couldn't stop but notice her, right? And yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
She has such an infectious energy
yeah.
about her. And it's like, and it isn't annoying.
Oh well, I have a different opinion about that. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But
All
yeah,
right, all right, all right.
but to start it off, it
Well,
was nice to see someone. She's like, how old is she? 19, 20, something like that. Really
yeah,
young,
she's like young.
really young. She's a seminary student. She comes off the boat. She has a big smile on her face, and I
Bro,
think
she's
that
24. She's
oh, she's
24.
24. Oh, okay. She's not
All
that.
right.
She's not as young as some of the other castaways. But anyway, she looks actually. She honestly she looks the youngest. But yeah, she has this. To me, she probably like expressed the most what all of the castaways were feeling, because a lot of these castaways are actually super fans.
Yeah.
Not unlike you and me, right? But yeah, these guys and some of them are super duper fans.
We'll
Which
get into that.
yeah, we'll get into that. So yeah, I mean, and I loved her, what do you call this? Her quote where she talked about a survivor being a roller coaster,
Yeah.
and you can either you're she's already in the roller coaster. They've already strapped everyone down, and it's your choice whether or not you're gonna accept the roller coaster and go for the ride. And she wants to go on the ride. That's one of the big reasons why she's there. And I think that that's one of the reasons why they cast her, because they did see how energetic, how much she wanted to be on the show. And again, it's another thing about Survivor and the new generation, the new kind of Survivor, where it's less about winning the game and more about like enjoying the experience, expressing your enjoyment of the experience, and growing through the experience, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another noteworthy thing
Mm.
from the marooning when Jeff calls on Zach
Oh
and
my god.
asks and asks, what does it take to win Survivor?
Oh my god. Speaking of super duper fans, you could
Wait, wait.
really, oh my god, he really was going for the soundbite. He was
Yeah.
going for the soundbite.
How do you
It
like
was so
uh,
awkward. For me, it was so awkward, man. How did you feel about it?
I was like, oh, this guy could be the adorable. That sort of
The adorable.
adorable, yeah, the adorable sort of. But I, uh,
He had, when you look at him, he could be. I mean, we've had that. We've had. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Cochran. He's one of the. I think he won one of the winners. He was like one of the notable adorkable winners of Survivor.
mm,
And I think that he's in the same vein in the fact that he's a super duper fan. But personally, I saw him right off the bat. That was actually one of my first notes. This guy just went for the soundbite. He didn't really think it through. He just wanted to be on the episode, right? He just wanted to be notable in the episode, right? And he is notable in this episode.
was he the? I remember when we were talking about our cast roundup. I was like, oh, super fan, first boot.
Yeah, he doesn't. It doesn't get as super as Zach, and he displays it throughout the entire episode. But I do. yeah, I have my opinion regarding his being a super fan. I think he's a super fan of the show and not of the game.
Ah, all right.
So he's that, and he, yeah. When we get to talking about the tribal council, he did say something during the tribal council that really shows that okay, he's a fan of the show. He's not a fan of the game, and that's a big difference because if you're a fan of the game, you have a different sensibility. You have a different way of thinking, right? You're not
Right.
trying to just get on the show, but you're trying to win it, right? There's a difference, I think. Yes. Oh my God, Zach.
That's a really cool insight that I never really thought of. Like, you know, what's it? Fan of the show versus fan of the game, because that really would, um, that really that really would affect your, I guess, chances, right? Particularly, now that like the production seems to be, um, seems to be adding a lot more game into the game, if that makes sense.
Yeah, with all of the yeah, one of the things that they added is that new twist with that first challenge. Right off the bat, right off the boat, our castaways are treated not to feast, but to a challenge. Right?
Yeah,
The
new era.
the new era right off the bat. Season 41 well, they did have sort of a challenge with their marooning, but here they got on the
Yeah,
beach. They didn't start in a boat. They
yeah,
started on the beach, but they have a different kind of challenge.
yeah.
And as part of that challenge, right, was that twist. Was that twist in the challenge where you the second half of that challenge, right? Remember it was Drea, Lindsay, and your boy, hi,
Hi.
right? And with that whole thing, they yeah, can you tell us about that? What tell us your thoughts about that?
Right. Well, first thing, um, I don't know if they made it a point, but what's his name is really Imba. Jonathan is really Imba.
Yeah, man, he is a beast. He is a
like
beast. Oh my
like the
God,
like the first who was the first three? It was Daniel,
Daniel,
um,
Tori, and Jonathan.
Tori, and Jonathan, right? And it was like I remember there was this wide shot where they show them, and then you see like Jonathan just way ahead, and then like
You could, yeah, even if we couldn't hear it, I'm sure that they all heard the ground shaking. They felt the ground shaking, even though it was sand. The way that he was running, oh my God, that dude is a beast, man.
oh maybe this is one of those adjustments that they made between like 41 and 42, um because the oars are all in the same place,
Yeah,
right? Because like
yeah. With
because I
41, oh my
remember
God, yeah.
like which tribe was it, the
Um,
yellow tribe, or
the yellow tribe,
whichever,
the
right? Like
yellow tribe.
they couldn't find their oar for like the longest time, and it was, they made it a point to show that, dude, it's just right there. But I don't know, this could have been like something like that.
Probably. I mean, you could see that they took lessons from what happened in 41, and they applied it here for 42.
Hmm.
And we see it all throughout this episode. But yeah, that challenge. I mean, Jonathan was like way ahead, and then you
Yeah,
have
so
Daniel bringing up the rear and then injuring himself.
yeah.
That was sad, right? Dislocated shoulder right off the bat. He could have been medically evacuated just as he got onto the beach, right? That would have been sad, but it's a good thing that he was able to. They were able to pop it back in. But anyway,
Yeah.
the more interesting part of that challenge was the second half of that challenge, uh, where
So
with
they
Drea, Lindsay, and Hi.
and high, right? So they end up running to where the next set of oars are, and they have to untie like 20 knots,
Mhm.
okay,
Each.
to get like each, right? They have to untie 20 knots each to get an advantage. I'm not sure if you can call it an advantage. Really? Like,
Yeah.
Survivor seems to really like game theory,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
It's
Because
like
like
yeah.
because we now have we have Game Fury Island, and we
Mm.
have this thing which is sort of that same sort of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
where how does it work? They have to get three. Well, they get three amulets or whatever.
Yeah,
Well,
they
let's
each
talk
get an
about.
amulet, and it has different powers based on the number of amulets still in play.
Yeah,
Right?
so it's like, ooh, and it gets more powerful as the amulets. Like
Yeah,
one
yeah,
amulet left in play is a full idol, which means they might have to potentially take each other out. But the way that it was worded was sort of like, all right, this is a cross tribal alliance, and you're going to be working. It gave the impression that they're going to be working together, when really it seems that the incentive given that is for them to go after each other.
yeah, yeah. That was how it was, like that was the angle that they gave. Like, okay, at the start, especially since they couldn't open the advantage right there. I wonder why they didn't open the advantage right. Were they instructed not to open it yet? Or
I
they
I,
weren't, right? They could have
I don't
opened
I
it.
don't think so.
Yeah, they could have
Yeah.
opened it just so that they could strategize and form an alliance right away. But they didn't do that. Instead, they had like pinky swears all around, and then they covered each other in mud and fake blood.
That was so dumb.
I could understand. Yeah, I could understand to a certain extent. I could understand it in the sense that they had to justify why they took so long in getting the
Yeah.
ores, but I could only understand the mud. The
Yeah.
fake blood, I don't understand. Because I mean, why would you need to show fake blood? Does it mean that they opened a carcass or something? That was weird
I
to me.
was asked like, "You're bleeding," and he's like,
Yeah,
"Yeah."
yeah, and then Hai was like, yeah. Then they just kept on running. And that was so weird. It was so weird, and yeah, and the other weird thing is that we don't really see. We're not sure if there's actual footage of it, but it never gets addressed anymore. After that, after all of
Yeah.
those questions, why are they so filthy? Are you bleeding? And then there was another one. I think Lindsay also asked about the blood again, or was it Lydia asked about the blood again? And then Hai just gave an offhand answer, and then it was never addressed. But we don't know. There might be
Yeah.
other footage that they just chose not to show. Maybe it's something that they're
Mm.
gonna use later on, because I think that Survivor is getting, the production is getting to that, like they want to hide a lot of information at the start, and then they're gonna show, okay, this is actually what happened, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was so
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
It was weird. It
It,
was weird
it,
not
it
hearing
was weird,
anything.
right?
Yeah,
That they didn't follow through on it. If there was anything there,
yeah. I don't know. That was yeah. I do not see.
violating, Chekhov's fake blood. You know.
Yeah, I mean, you set it up, you put it out there, and then it doesn't get resolved. It was weird that they didn't talk about it. Continuing with that challenge, like what you said, Jonathan, my God, that man is a beast. He
Yeah.
single-handedly like steered the boat
The boat
to where
around the
they needed to
buoy
be.
and like.
That was just, oh wow. But the sad thing is, like, I mean, the sad thing is, despite them having that huge lead, when it came to Mariah with the bamboo and putting together
Yeah.
the bamboo hook thing, and she dropped the ball there. She dropped the ball. My gosh.
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
I was gonna make some like Zach, like, oh yeah, but she didn't get voted out.
Well, but that's because later on they
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
have to go to
yeah.
tribal,
Of course.
right?
Of course.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
After that first challenge, so the blue tribe, Ika got the flint first because of Rox Roy. I mean,
Yeah.
the stay-at-home dad got the flint for the tribe. And yeah, I, for some reason, Roxroy hits me as a, I've got a like a love hate thing for Roxroy because I do like his character, but
Mhm.
sometimes it comes off too intense and too serious, especially when they got to when they got
Uh,
to their beach, right? When they got to their beach, and everyone was starting to make their shelter. And yeah, I mean, Roxroy was started like not really liking especially the young guys.
yeah.
Yeah, dissing the young guys, like, what are you doing? We should be making shelter, yada yada yada. And that's always like a huge red flag, right? That's in
Yeah.
previous
Yeah.
seasons. Yeah, it would always be a huge red flag if you have this really uber bossy castaway telling people, "Oh, we should be doing this, we should be doing that. Why are you doing that?" Right? And then yeah,
Mm.
then yeah, Rockstar got an early like diss from the rest of the castaways.
And to that note, the tribe was singing the Survivor theme song, right?
Yeah, yeah,
They were going like, right?
yeah.
And and then Roxroy like pretty much says, "Get off my lawn, children." That was like a dig at like Survivor itself, you know?
Yeah, I mean, didn't he realize that they were actually singing the Survivor theme? Then again, we haven't quite heard the Survivor theme song in Survivor US. We haven't heard the Survivor theme song in quite a while. Uh, I've been watching Survivor Australia. They still play the Survivor theme song in Survivor Australia. But yeah, in Survivor US, we hardly ever hear it. We only hear
Oh,
like the
okay.
last measure or something.
Mm,
So we hardly ever have like the full thing anymore. Uh,
okay.
it's probably not like top of mind for Rox Royce. He was like, what are you singing? What are you whatever? Yeah, we should be doing this. He was being a dad, I guess. Uh,
Yeah. So like was this the first time though that they really like highlighted that archetype as or that they made somebody of that archetype sort of annoying.
the Rox Roy? Oh,
Yeah, yeah, because he seemed very grating. And
um,
like I'm, who was like last season, I'm sure Abraham was similar to that.
he was
You
the
know,
first
he
boot, wasn't
right, but
he?
like
Yeah.
I get yeah, like from some of the like interviews from 41,
Mm,
the impression that I got from Abraham was that he was sort of that father archetype.
mhm.
And we didn't see that in we
Yeah,
didn't
in
see
show, we didn't.
him,
Yeah.
yeah, we didn't see him being like the father figure in the show, but like with Roxroy, it's in full force in the first episode and it is grating.
Yeah. Well, we have had a lot of bossy characters in previous
Mm.
seasons. I can't name them. Had Martin been here, he would be the one to name all of them. He's like a subject matter expert.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, Survivor has had a lot of those characters, a lot of those castaways who like, okay, this is what you do. This is how the shelter should be built. This is where the shelter is. This is the shelter, and this is where we're gonna build the fire. They've had that. They've had a lot of that.
Mm.
Um, I guess there's a difference with the way that they're treating the Roxroy, because we do see that later on in the episode where he has a different dimension to him. Uh, you find him grating. I kind of understand where he's coming from, just in the same way that you think that the Zach could have been the adorable character, but I have a different. Oh, sorry, you think that Marianne is like such a nice character to be around, and then I kind of have a different opinion about that. But yeah, that's the whole point of having these podcasts. We talk about our opinions. Yeah, and yeah, Roxroy, I think he's got that character. He's got that dimension where he's like bossy. He's like uh, I guess if he doesn't see things getting done, that's when he gets bossy. Uh, but I did see some other things that I liked about him, and I think
Right.
that also goes into the whole thing about the castaways, especially in this one, having being multidimensional. Like
Yeah.
it's not they're not cookie cutter characters for the show. So yeah, we've got that, and then we've got we've got oh my God, Zach. Right off the bat, I really didn't quite like him. I really didn't like him. Uh, and it's not just because of what happens. Uh, uh, yeah, and then we've got Tori. You've got Tori. Tori the
who
therapist.
who says that she's a caregiver, right? What was that she said?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
She because she being a therapist, she wanted to play with the perceptions of people. Uh, okay, that's gameplay. At least she's playing the game,
Mm.
but I don't know if that's gonna take her far in this game. The way that she's doing it. A lot of castaways have also done that. They never revealed what their actual occupation was. We've had athletes who former athletes who say that there's something else. They're landscapers,
High school coach
yeah, something like that. Yeah,
Danny.
all of those characters, all of those castaways. And we could say that Tori saying that she's a caregiver isn't that far from her actual
Yeah, that's
work,
true.
right? It's just that she did it because she wanted to be perceived as someone giving, someone nurturing, someone, and then
Yeah.
it would change the perception of people about her. But then again, her character comes up, so you can't stop showing who you really are, right? Unless you're like really good at hiding it, right?
Is she being set up as like a villain?
She
It feels like
probably
it.
it feels like it. Based on this first episode, it feels like it. It feels like she's like one of those castaways who probably could become like a villain down the line, because I mean she's conniving off the bat.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like what's it? Like all of the podcasts that I listen to keep on talking about survivors trying to find their Parvati 2.0 or whatever.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I can see at least she's
I
yeah,
mean,
the
I'm
whole
not
mind
saying
games thing.
I'm not saying that she is, because I really have no, I don't have too much context for what that means, right?
Who Parvati is.
But-
But yeah, but there's a difference with how what Parvati did and what she's doing. And I think that actually Survivor is starting to downplay the way that Parvati played her game. And I think that and I'm not sure if that story's game. She's all about perception. She wants to psychoanalyze everyone and therapize. I don't know what the verb is. Yeah, and play mind games on everyone. So that's what happened in the Ika tribe, the one that the tribe, the blue tribe, they're the
yeah.
guys that won their Flint. Meanwhile, the other tribes faced a challenge similar to what happened in season 41, the savvy or sweat challenge, right? But again, this is Survivor learning from what happened in season 40 41.
Mhm.
So they tweaked the challenge, and Jeff did mention that they tweaked season 42 based on what happened in 41. So they tweaked the challenge. Where in season 41, the sweat challenge would have two castaways doing the challenge, and they would only have one attempt to guess the savvy challenge. Here it was switched. They would have two guesses for the savvy challenge, and only one person would do the sweat challenge. How did you find
It's
we saw the sweat challenge in the last in season 41.
yeah.
How did you find the savvy challenge in season 42?
Well, right off the bat, no, and when they mentioned that, I was like, right. So they switched it up, and they made it so that the teams had no choice but to do savvy, you know.
They wanted people to see the savvy
Yeah,
challenge being
and they
done.
wanted they wanted people to try the savvy challenge because yeah, it's an absolute no to like go out alone
Mhm.
when if you're playing Survivor, right? You're the number one thing is not to leave a group of people together to strategize against you, except if you're doing something like looking for an idol.
Mhm. If you're
Um,
desperate and like looking for an idol already.
yeah, right? Or if you're um called out for like a confessional or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it the but then that sort of calculus becomes so different when you have two people doing the water, right? Because you're not alone and you can create like a bond with
Mm.
another person that's perceived as strong. So, like by making it from two to one person, even if the bucket is bigger and the big thing is smaller, from a strategic point of view, there is absolutely no way you're going to ever want to do that, as what's his name, as Mike
Mike. Yeah.
points out, right? Like
Yeah.
that's a number one no-no.
Yeah.
Whereas in the previous season, when it was two people, you had Danny and Deshaun, and that was like one of the strongest alliances in the whole game. So like
And they
it
started from
became,
that challenge.
yeah, right, and it became like a little bit of a no-brainer by like you know making it much more difficult
Mhm.
to pick that one. So like the fairest way to do it, the thing that would actually have been a choice, was if they made it two people do the sweat challenge, or the whole tribe does the savvy challenge, but they have two guesses. Like
Mm.
that would be the most difficult to choose, because they're both okay. Or you can just have it like one guess and one person, which you might
That.
you might still be doing, I don't know, you might still be favoring savvy with that,
Mhm.
again, because
At least you're not
um
separated from the rest of the tribe.
yeah, yeah,
From a social standpoint, it is the logical. Wow, from a social standpoint, it's the logical choice, right?
yeah. So like that was my first thought. Like they really don't want these people to do the sweat challenge again.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that they did that, because Jenny is amazing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Jenny was like, everyone was like Jenny was saying, like everyone had their number like right like a few minutes into it, and then I was like, these people are not puzzle people. She just went ahead and said it, right?
Yeah. What's it that was one of the things that really stood out to me was when Lydia was like, okay, are we all going to say it at the same time? And it was like, because like because I remember seeing the savvy puzzle from 41,
Mhm.
right? Because like when they introduce it, they're like,
Yeah,
they
they
show the
showed it.
bucket,
Yeah.
and then they show the triangle, and it was like, oh my god, that is such a difficult puzzle. Like that's going to take them forever. And that was one of the things that really stood out to me from 41, the triangle puzzle. It was like one of those stones left unturned, if you will. I'm glad they turned over that stone in
Yeah, for
this con, which leads me to believe that we're not going to have an hourglass broken this season, just so
ooh.
that but they're gonna have like the hourglass, but they're going to make it such that whoever is in possession of the hourglass is not going to break it, because it
Just
seems
so
like
that it's definitely.
it seems like they're flipping things.
Mhm.
um but yeah,
Did you try it
Jenny is
while
awesome.
you were watching the episode?
I was checking papers.
Oh, okay. Dude, I tried it and I could not for the life of me get to the number that they had. I couldn't figure.
Ah.
I Yeah, so I guess I'm not. Yeah, I couldn't figure out. And then I finally found a resource online, and then I was like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, that is a triangle. Oh yeah, that is a triangle. Oh yeah, that is a triangle. The highest I got was, I think, 43. So I was 8 out.
Hmm.
Right. So the answer was actually 51. Uh,
Did they include the triangle, that the board, because the board was a triangle as well? That was something that like got to me when
no,
when
no,
I
no.
saw it.
It was just
Okay,
the drawing. It was just the drawing.
all right. I was like, oh, is the oh man.
Is it a trick?
Yeah, I was gonna be like, are they that pilosopo?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, they just went for the with the drawings, and yeah,
Uh,
it was it, yeah, I actually like that they had that. Yeah, yeah, and that was one of the first few times that I started. You said that Roxroy was grating. That was one of the first times that I felt that Marianne's energy started getting grating. Started grating
Ah,
on me. She was
right.
so enthusiastic, and I love her enthusiasm. I love her enthusiasm. It's just that calm down, calm down. You gotta calm down. You gotta learn to calm down a bit,
Right.
right? She started getting too much for me. But then again, that's me, right? Yeah. So we've got that. We got that. I I do hope that if they do still do the Xavier Sweat Challenge for succeeding seasons, they're gonna, yeah, they should change the puzzle, right? If they're gonna do that, they ought to,
Yeah.
because people who like, I mean, castaways for season 43 will probably have been watching, especially if they're like super
Yeah.
fans, super duper fans like our boys at, uh, right? Uh, yeah, so we got Xavier Sweat, and like you said, Jenny and her background as a creatives, that was,
Yeah.
she's a superstar. She was a superstar for this challenge.
This is this could be setting us up for like a Jenny Jonathan sort of
Mm,
thing, right? Because they
mm,
made a point to show that, because like I don't know, Jonathan was shown in that first challenge to be like really physically strong, and in this it was there was a point showing like Jenny is, you know, the
Jenny's strength,
brain.
yeah.
Yeah, Jenny is like is the brains of the operation, while at the same time showing Jonathan being like, no.
I got
I'm
12. I got 12. Dude, I'm already at 30. Oh, okay. This is not my thing.
I'm gonna go build the shelter now.
That was all too funny, man. It was like, oh, okay, okay. Yeah, you're right. You're right. It might be setting that up. Like we've got Jenny with the brains, and she's wearing green. You probably haven't seen that, brains, brawn, and beauty. The brains tribe was wearing green, and so she coincidental. So she's the brainy one. Uh, yeah, and then we got Jonathan. We got Jenny. Yeah, we have all of that. And now let's yeah, we talked about the advantage amulet. Uh, what do you think?
before
How?
before that
Yeah, go ahead.
before that another thing that I wanted to point out from the uh triangle challenge
Mm.
was I really love Mike,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Why?
Because
Why so?
like because um the strategic thinking there was like, you know what, they're gonna make me do this, and it's gonna be tough to fill up like that entire barrel. So, you know, before they get into that, might as well say, here's what I think we should do, and come up with a good argument as to why. Like, he shouldn't do it. And the well, one, it gets to he gets to save a lot of energy and all of that. But two, um, great strategic thinking
Yeah.
on his part. And it was like, oh, okay. Yeah. So this you know, um when we were talking about like the physical threats when we were talking about the physical threats in our last episode, the way that I was thinking it would break down was Jonathan is the physical threat for Taku,
Mm-hmm.
Roxroy is the physical threat for Ika, and Mike is the physical threat for Vati.
Mm-hmm.
um but in that moment we got to see that, like, okay, this guy isn't only going to be a physical threat, but has um a pretty good social game as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
he's you know, he's aware of the game as game.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, and he did. I forgot to point it out. Right off when they got on the beach, when Jeff asked him, "How do you win Survivor?" He did say that they just don't have to be a physical threat. You have to be balanced, right? And
Mm.
that's how he's showing it. And even I've watched some of the pre-show confessionals that the castaways have had, and he did say that's how he's going to play the game. He's not gonna just be physical. He's not gonna be dominant in one aspect, but he's gonna know something in all of the different aspects of Survivor. And I think that, yeah, for you pointing out how he was strategic in that moment, yeah, shows how he's balanced. He's a balanced castaway.
Yeah, so that he isn't like a pre-merge boot, right? Because well, historically, the 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 physical the physical players are the ones that are removed like right before the merge.
Yeah, a lot of physical players are like seen as threats when they go into the merge because they think that they're going to be like super challenge beasts. So
Yeah.
they usually take them out right before. Yeah.
Mm.
Although
So,
some of them, because they are challenge beasts, they keep on winning immunity. They make it to the merge,
yeah.
unless like some of them like throw challenges. But yeah, a lot of the strong guys, like so yeah, Jonathan, while he is a beast all throughout this episode, it also puts a huge target on his back. The fact that he
Mm.
is a beast. Yeah, so yeah,
Anyway,
good thing pointing that out.
advantage.
Pointing out that Mike is a balanced player, and I think that is going to help him a lot.
Yeah.
Going into the amulet, we talked about it. It, I'm sure that a lot of them thought that like you said, the amulet was gonna give them like it was gonna be sort of like the immunity idol in 41, where they had to say a certain word, a certain phrase, and then once everyone says the phrase, it would get activated. But it's different here.
Yeah.
It was tweaked. I don't know if we don't know if we're gonna still see something like that.
We
Something
are
like
right. That the ridiculous phrases are still going to be there.
are
Like
they?
it was
Yeah, I
it
don't.
was all over like the promo materials and
Oh,
um the what's it, the line I believe is like something to do with potatoes, like potatoes have skin, I have skin, am I a potato? Like I think that's the line that we're waiting for somebody to say.
okay. So they added a little bit more. So you see how Survivor is from season to season, they're evolving. So they're
Yeah.
they're tweaking. They're trying to see how they can improve the game even more. And I like it. I love the fact that they keep on trying to improve the game. Yeah, right now the twist. I like the advantage amulet twist. I like the fact that at 3 it's an extra vote. I like,
Mhm.
and then at 2 it is a steal a vote, and then at 1 it becomes immunity. My question though is, and I'd like to know your thought on this: what happens if the amulet gets used before they? So I guess, say for example, if there's 3 and then I use mine, do the other 2 get informed? Okay, now your amulet is worth a steal a vote. Is that how it works? I'm guessing that. What do you think?
I would love that to be the case, but like there's also the other theory that they have to use it together.
Oh,
There's that other
oh.
theory that like, so let's say that all three of them make it to the merge,
Mhm.
right? Once they reach that point, it becomes and there are two of them left. They have to both agree that it's a steal a vote.
Mhm.
Like they
So
both
the
agree,
the
like, oh, bro,
amulets
we'll
in
use it now.
themselves do not hold any power. That's one theory, that they don't have any they don't hold any power. They only hold power in conjunction with the other 2. Is
Yeah,
that is
yeah.
that what oh, okay. Huh. I didn't think of it that way. It
Right?
was
Which is
it's
tough.
like a forced alliance where there's also you also get something in return if you actually get the other person voted out.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what I was thinking, right? Like it's either Yeah, like if all three of them, or it has to be all three of them that use it. Like that's one of the ways that it was interpreted. But I don't, again, I don't know. They probably asked like they probably asked the producers for like the rules or whatever the moment they got it. Like, okay, what's the rule with this? You know, because it really wasn't clear the way that it
Yeah,
was, the
yeah.
way that it was worded.
Yeah, what about you guys? What do you think is the how do you think that the advantage amulet is gonna be played? Is it something that they have to agree on, or is it something that each amulet has its own power? Put your answers down in the comments. Uh, but yeah, I mean the fact that that twist on how it can be played put a wrinkle in that early alliance, in that pinky swear alliance that they had with each
Yeah,
other, right?
yeah. So like, okay, it was Romeo's confessional, right? Where he was like, okay, so this is, I'm gonna work with them, but then I have to get
It's
rid of
high.
them.
It's high. It was high. It's you.
Oh,
It's
hi,
your boy
sorry,
high. Yeah.
hi, right, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, because he was like, oh, I'm gonna have more power if they're out. Right?
yeah. So it's like, okay, that was that was the wrinkle to the Pinky Swear alliance.
Yeah. Yeah.
If
He
it
said
is,
that he
if
like
it's
overestimated the power of the
yeah,
advantage, right? Yeah. It's weird. I personally I do hope that it's that each amulet has its own power,
yeah,
and then the others just get informed, okay, it's changed into a stealabote or it's changed into a full, because
yeah,
right now it wouldn't really have power. Then again, nobody knows that they that they have it, because nobody dared to question why they were all muddy and bloody. Nobody
yeah,
followed that up, right? So you don't really know. So it's weird. It's weird. I do hope that it gets cleared up later on
yeah.
in the season. Yeah, and then we got the first night, their first night, we got that fireside story from Jackson.
Yeah.
Uh, what are your thoughts on that? What did you think about his that fireside story?
It's I don't know. It's a story. It's a story that needed to be told.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, television should be a representation of, what people are like wherever, whatever place you're in. So to have a trans person there to come out and tell their story is something that's kind of needed in a way, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's you know, it's
Yeah.
it's the reality of living in the US, right? It is good to see more types of people represented on that
Mm-hmm.
show, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
on like a mainstream television show.
Yeah.
It's just one
Yeah.
of those things.
Yeah. And aside from Survivor showing their inclusivity, I do like the fact that the story of Jackson, like as he went through the transition, um because of the tragedy that also befell their family, like his mom getting really sick and him having to go home, it and the fact that he was a trans male, right? He had to stay away from the family, but it also the tragedy, he it the tragedy in the family brought him close to his father, right?
Yeah,
While taking care of his mother. So that story in itself was really good. The both the fact that it showed how inclusive the show is, and again, it goes back into Survivor trying not only to represent or and inspire a lot of people, not just in the U.S. but all over the world. But it shows that I don't even think that it was a sob story. For me,
yeah,
it was a story of triumph, right?
yeah,
It could have become like a sob story. Okay, I got separated from my family because of my being trans. But then again, it became a success story because okay, later on I grew to have a relationship with my father, right? And especially since it came from the fact that he came from the fact that he was really close to his mom. So I'll admit I got teary eyed with that because I'm close to my mom. And yeah, it's always a different kind of story if you hear. It's always different if you hear like a story about the son mending a relationship with parents. So it's
Yeah.
really good, and I love that story from Jackson. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
I,
that
I
was
was no, I was actually really oh, before that it uh plays into what you were saying earlier about how Survivor is more stories of triumph of the human spirit.
mhm,
You know, like Survivor is now becoming about telling stories of people growing and
mhm,
of people becoming better than who they were yesterday.
mhm.
That sort of thing. And this is one very prime example of that.
Yeah, yeah,
Like telling that story in that way.
yeah, and yeah, I'm glad that they got it on the show. I'm glad that they, yeah, because especially with that, with what happened like a couple like the next day,
The
right?
next day.
Yeah,
Did you
so
find it jarring, by the way? Was it just me that found it jarring, or did you find it jarring that they were doing exposition in the evening? Like exposition on or evening only really happens when they're strategizing or the aftermath of tribal council. Like that's what happens in the evening, at least, you know.
yeah, I'm guessing that it happens a lot because the castaways were talking about it as if it's like something that actually happens, but it just never gets shown on TV.
Yeah.
It's probably because of the fact that this was the story, this was the fireside story that was being told, and I think that's why the producers really wanted to show it,
Yeah.
right?
It felt really weird though. It was like
Yeah.
this feels like the aftermath of tribal.
Yeah, because yeah, like what you said, we never usually see nighttime videos unless it's of like people cuddling up in the shelter or
Yeah.
all of that stuff. This is, to my recollection, no, I think that we've had some. The episode, the show has had some fireside stories. It's just that they don't really show a lot of them. They don't really show a lot of them, and I think the fact that it was Jackson telling his story, made it important for them to show it, because again, it goes back to the show wanting going a different route now. It's less about the game, more about the people, and yeah, it's it's jarring in the sense that, okay, well, why are we getting this? But the payoff was good for me. The
Yeah.
payoff was good. All right,
Which
so yeah.
leads us into why there's a little bit of orange in the background. This will be blue later.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah. But before that, before we go to that, um, we get the one and only confessional from Chanel.
Oh, she's
Uh,
being purple, dude.
I
So sad.
do think so too. We have the same opinion. She's getting purple edited.
We're like, oh wow, she.
Wow, this is the first time we're hearing from her. All right, and then for the rest of the episode, Chanel who? So yeah, I do think that she's getting, like, because I mean, you've got Lydia. She had a the Gen Z representation with her. What, this is day two, and and I haven't cried. That's when she
Yeah.
said that, right? And then you've got Zach, who got a lot of confessionals as well, but that's for a different reason. And then you've got Marianne, who, again, for a different reason, because she's like this really enthusiastic castaway who really, how do you say it, is good for television, basically, right? Yeah, and then we also get, aside from Purple Chanel, we also get the story of Daniel, right? Again, it goes back to Survivor, trying to, yeah, becoming that inspirational TV show, because they show this Survivor. This is actual real life Survivor, cancer
Yeah.
survivor, right?
I really like him as well, dude.
You don't like him as,
No, I really do like him
oh,
as
you
well.
like him. You like him. You like Daniel. Personally,
Yeah.
uh,
Not
I,
as
not as
I don't no, not as like I like him to win. Like
uh-huh.
I think I'd
You like the
enjoy
fact that,
having a beer with that guy, you know, like that
yeah,
sort of thing.
yeah, Yeah, I'm sure that he's a great guy to hang out with. But based on, I think he was the one who, because like I said, I watched some of the pre-show confessionals of these castaways, and he was the one who said that it was his destiny to be on the season, and it was his destiny to become the sole survivor. Right there and then, I was like, don't quite like you. I don't quite like
All
you.
right.
But I'm sure that he's a nice guy to hang around with. But yeah, but then again, with his story about how he survived, uh, what was that?
Cancer, right?
Yeah, cancer when he was
Like a
when he was
leukemia, might
yeah,
have been.
it was a lot of my preconceived notions of these of these castaways got got tweaked a bit because of how they're
Yeah.
being presented on the show, and it goes to show you how good Survivor is in holding back information so that we have our own preconceived notions, and then all of a sudden they show a different side to these castaways.
The fact that it was, if I yeah, the fact that it was leukemia, you know, or
Mhm.
because a really good friend of ours actually like died of cancer, right? So
Yeah.
like every time I hear a story about cancer and somebody surviving it, it's like, all right, man, that is tough,
Hmm.
and mad respect.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I might be turning around on Daniel, but right now, yeah, based on the based on the pre-show
This-
confessionals, I don't quite like him as a castaway,
yeah,
right?
I don't like him to I don't like him to win, right? Like I don't think he's I don't think he's gonna be I don't think he's gonna win the whole thing. Let's
Yeah.
just put it that way.
Yeah. 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 And then over on Ika, we have this is the second time that I took note of this. I don't like Zach. I really don't like Zach. He because he's a self-professed super duper fan. I think that he was playing too much like a super duper fan of the show, again, of the show. He
Uh,
he wasn't, as for me. You mentioned that he could have been like that adorkable castaway. There are several adorkable castaways that have come up throughout the years. I mentioned Cochrane, and there was this guy from, was it? Oh, it was David versus Goliath. There was this castaway from the David tribe. Although later on I did end up not really liking him. I forget his name. Christian, I think. Yeah.
he's always on Rob Sesternino's podcast.
Oh yeah, because he's like this super analytical guy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He was one that explained the Monty Hall problem on Rob Sesternino's podcast.
Yeah, because even during the David versus Goliath season, he was that. He was calculating. He was sort of a mastermind in that sense. But yeah, but Zach, for me, just didn't have enough. What do you say? How do you say it? He didn't have enough for me to hang on to. I didn't quite empathize with him.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't. Aside from being a super fan, he didn't bring anything else to the table, basically. Right? So yeah, he could almost have been adorkable if he actually brought something to the table aside from being a super
Being
fan.
the super fan, yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said, a fan of a super fan of the show and not like a student of the game,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like uh like a JD.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. Exactly. Because I mean, you get Christian. He was also a super fan, but he knew the game, and he played the game. This guy was just
Yeah.
there because I love the show. I want to be on the show. Wait, it's not just what I see on the show.
It's not a 30-minute montage.
Yeah, that's montage. Oh my god, that comes up in the tribal council. Oh my god, this kid is like, if yeah, you've got Lydia, the fish out of water. He was like the second one was a fish out of water.
Right.
And then you have Tori, who for me that was a huge bungle on her part when she went out to look for Taro. Like, I'm looking for food. Like, yeah, but that's what she declares. But you know that whenever you go off alone, you're looking for an
Yeah.
idol.
And she only apologized when she never found one.
Yeah, right. It was so weird. I mean, as a therapist who wanted to play on the perceptions of other castaways, she missed she missed the mark on that one. She knew that she was going to get perceived as someone who looked for the idol, but she went ahead and did it anyway, right?
Yeah, because she said, what was that? It was in her in her confessional. She was like, "But we're playing Survivor, so we might as well."
Yeah. So she yeah, trying to play big, but that was the wrong time to play big. Yeah, that was that was that was that was a mistake on her part. And she that painted a huge target on her back. Gosh.
Good
And
thing good thing for her that Zach painted an even bigger target on himself.
yeah, the disloyalty of the fan of the show. Then after that, we got the summit. Oh gosh, the summit. So representatives from each tribe went to what do you call it? The Advantage Island.
Yeah, people call it advanced. I like to call it Prisoner's Dilemma Island because that's just what it
Oh,
is.
Prisoner's Dilemma Island. That actually yeah, because that's what happens there, right? So it was Marianne, Jenny, and Drea again. Drea
Yeah,
goes on the trip and gets this chance to meet with people from other tribes, right? But while we do that, we finally get the backstory of Marianne, and again, her enthusiasm can be grating to me, but the but her story is really beautiful. I love her story, especially when she like imitated her mom. What Marianne, why do you want to do this? Why do you like this show? It was like it was fun. It was good. It was it was a story of inspiration. Like she wanted to
yeah,
show that there are kids out there. Uh, yeah, and we get to see all of these different sides of the castaways. But one thing is for sure, Marianne is a very emotional person. She's a very emotional
yeah,
person. Even as she was giving her confessional, she was getting really emotional. Even when she was talking about being an inspiration to other people out there, you could see here her voice was breaking. She was starting to tear up. Yeah, and then on the other side we've got Jenny and we've got Drea. Drea, we need to. She's one to look out for. She is one to
yeah.
look out for.
This is her second three-way parlay.
Yeah, right. So they make their way up to the summit on the summit, right? And they make the prisoner's dilemma. What would you have would you have would you have risked your vote, given that you don't know any of the because that was I think that what was that that was Drea's justification. I don't know these people. I'm gonna go ahead and risk my vote. Would you
Yeah,
have?
I probably would have. Like,
Hmm?
I probably would have because it's like, hey, Survivor, new era.
Mhm.
Let's gotta live dangerous.
Yeah, go big or go home, right?
Yeah, go big or
Mhm.
go home.
Yeah, true. Yeah, yeah, true. Same with me. Because I mean, if anything, you're gonna lose your vote for one tribal.
Yeah,
You're gonna lose your vote for one tribal, and then the flip side of that is you're gonna have an extra vote. So right, so the
yeah,
advantage
yeah.
outweighs. And since you don't know the people well enough yet, so you don't really know if so long as you make sure that you're not going to get voted out, you're not in danger of getting voted out,
Hmm.
right? So might as well try to get that advantage, right?
I think it might also have to do with uh if I were if I were there, um the way that I ended up getting on that boat.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If
Mm-hmm.
it was something that I insisted on, I probably would have protected my vote.
Oh,
Whereas
but
if it
Marianne
was
did risk her vote. She insisted. She like
yeah,
volunteered as sacrifice.
that was yeah. But you
Mm.
know, like if it were something that could be taken against me
Mm-hmm.
going,
Mm-hmm.
I would like to protect that vote because I'm going
Because
out
yeah.
because I'm going out alone, and
Mm-hmm.
they could be like,
Oh, let's
you
vote.
know,
Let's vote. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
plotting, and they're like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
he's gonna get an advantage on that island. I'm not
Because
gonna
it
get an
usually
advantage.
happens, right? That's what
Yeah,
usually
right?
happens.
But then if it were, I don't know, if it were like I don't know,
Right, like drawing straws, like what they did with
yeah,
with
whatever.
Jenny. Right?
Yeah. I probably would have been like, go big or go home.
Yeah. Yeah. Then this again, we go into the whole thing of them not following up. What happened, right? The same thing with the
Yeah.
blood. The same thing with the blood and mud. We didn't get scenes where they when they got back. What did they tell their tribe mates? Right?
Yeah, because of no, it wasn't. Oh yeah, but yeah. The exact opposite of what happened last season.
Yeah, because last season, right after they get back and then okay, tell us a story. It's like a story. Yada yada yada. This time we don't get anything. Audiences don't get anything out of it. We don't know if it actually happened. It probably did. They probably asked what happened, what was there, because the whole that yeah, that was the first time that it happened, right? The 41 was the first time
Yeah,
that prisoner's dilemma thing happened. So yeah,
yeah,
it's weird that Survivor is electing not to tell that side of the story. The choices, their storytelling choices right now are different. It's really different from how they've been treating the previous seasons, right? And yeah, then we get to day three, and what you said, the medevac of Jackson. So yeah, what are your thoughts on that? About what happened?
Survivor is sneaky.
Why do you say so?
But because I don't know, I don't know what the circumstances were, right? But um don't they have backups?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think I know where you're going.
Right? Like it's like this is a story that needs to be told.
Uh-huh.
So we put this poor guy on the island for like 2 days, get that story out there, and then like we DQ him. Like that's one way to look at it, you know, like, oh,
Yeah.
sneaky survivor, tusk tusk tusk, you know.
We needed to tell the story about this. We needed to show representation, and we needed to talk about this, about his situation, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's like that's the cynical side of me talking like, oh, survivor, tusk tusk, like so bad, you know.
Yeah, dude, I understand. I understand what you're talking about because I also thought something similar. But my thoughts went towards the okay, Jackson, we're gonna allow you to go, but we're gonna pull you out of the game after you've done something. Because we need you to tell your story and we want your story. Because Jeff even said that you were right off the bat, he was already how did he say it? What was this? I forgot what how Jeff said it, but it was already 100% sure that he was gonna get cast as a castaway
Yeah,
because of his story. Uh, what they didn't know was about his medical condition, and
yeah,
then he only revealed that supposedly right before they left.
yeah.
So I do think that they spoke with him. The producer sat down with him and told him, "Okay, Jackson, we're gonna get you on the show. You're gonna live out your experience, and then but we're gonna have to pull you out, and then we're gonna make it look as if it was an in-game decision, but in truth, we've already talked about it. I'm not as cynical as you, but I still do think that they transpired, that they conspired to have that to do exactly what they did. Yeah.
You know, I really want him to be a returning player at some point.
Same, because yeah, his medical condition isn't. It's something that's. Didn't he say it? It's not something that it's gonna be off of it. He's gonna be off of it soon.
Yeah. Like see, what's her name was also weaning off of um was weaning off of some antidepressant. See, from last season.
So it's happened before. It's happened before.
Yeah. Not I don't like she had gotten off of whatever antidepressant it was before she ended up going on the show.
Yeah.
Tiffany.
Okay. Yeah. So the same. We have the same sentiments. I do hope that Jackson gets to come back. Because I mean, yes, he did say that the 48 hours of playing Survivor was already a huge experience. It's like the best 48 hours of his life. But for me, I think that we didn't really get to see what he could do. We didn't get to see what he could do. Aside from the story that he was able to tell, right? And I do hope that he gets a second chance. I do hope that he gets a second chance in later seasons. Yeah.
Because I really, what was it? As the season premiere was approaching, I was thinking more and more that like, yeah, this guy's going to be a contender. I was thinking that, like, thinking about it, yeah, this guy's going to be a contender. He's going to have a great story. He's going to be, it looks like he's very likable. And it's just sad.
It's sad. Yeah, it is sad. It's sad that he had to leave early. Yeah, hoping that he gets back. Hoping that he gets back on Survivor, and then once he's like fully cleared from his medical condition. Yeah, and then we got a taste of yet again Marianne's reaction when he broke the news, when Jackson broke the news.
They're really setting her up to be a very emotional player. This is probably going to be paid off later on.
Hopefully, where she becomes like, because she wears her heart on her sleeve. You could see that right off the bat.
Yeah.
And then as soon as Jackson tells everyone what happened, boom, cries balls her heart out, and she even like apologizes to Jackson. I was like, okay, it was cute. It's cute. I mean, it's like your little sister needing to say goodbye to you, saying that and the possibility of you guys not seeing each other anymore, right? So it was started out cute for me, and then it started getting a little too much. That's I think that's when I started like thinking, okay, Marianne, chill. It's a little too much already. Come on. Right.
But then I get the feeling that I get the feeling that she's like they're setting her up for, or that not they're setting her up, the edit or whatever is setting up a payoff of Marianne either making a great decision or a horrible decision from an emotional place.
That's a thought. Because
like they're establishing, because they're establishing from the first episode that this is a character that is extremely emotional, and so they, I guess they're going to set her up, or they're going to, they have to show her as emotional if there's going to be some big decision later on that is based on emotion. Like with Deshawn, from
Mhm.
last season.
Mm.
It was only fairly late, I think, in sort of the edit that we got to see him be the emotional guy that he was.
Mhm.
So, like in this season, they're establishing early on that this girl is gonna play using her emotion.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. But that would
Just
be
a
that.
thought. Just a thought.
Yeah, a good thought. A good thought. Yeah. Yeah, that possibly could be the payoff. I hope that it's a good thing. I hope that the decision she makes is a good thing. Because despite me not really riding on her emotional, her being emotional, for some reason I'm rooting for Marianne. Uh, for some reason I am rooting for her. It is the whole yeah, two sides of it all. Like for example, Daniel, he's a good guy to hang out with, but I don't want him to win. Right? Marianne, I don't think I'm ever gonna hang out with that kid, but I'm rooting for her. Right?
Yeah.
There's that. Right? Yeah. So I hope that she does come up with some good decisions. Then after that, we go straight into the immunity challenge. I just have to say, I love the design of the immunity idol for this season. The Ouroboros with the and then with the
Yeah,
stand. And,
yeah. Eating it. The snake.
yeah, yeah. I love the design of the immunity idol for this season. And then we have another Zach moment. Uh, with the whole I really like it's probably me not really liking the person too much, because you could really see that I saw, maybe it's my perception of him, that he really just wanted to be on the episode. He wanted to be seen on the episode. That whole thumbs up thing.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah.
okay, yeah, right. Oh, sorry, no, thumbs down. It was a thumbs down gesture. After Jeff like announced that he was gonna take the flint of the losing tribe. It was like really playing it up to the camera.
Playing it to the camera.
Yeah.
There's um one of the podcasts mentioned about this particular immunity challenge. It was really tough because it was designed for 6 people, but because of Jackson leaving, they had to do it with 5.
Yeah. I
And
had I similar thoughts went through my head. It was like, wow, this is gonna be really hard, especially, dude. They were lugging those really heavy chests uh that only Jonathan could could carry.
yeah, that's
Dude,
why they were so ahead.
that's why they were so ahead. That's why they're so ahead. I mean,
That's why Ika was like 15 minutes behind, right? Because Jonathan counts as like 4 people.
yeah, man. Again, you can see how Jonathan's physical advantage was such a huge thing for them. He more than once he was steering the boat by himself, like, right. I think after was it the final chest, he went on the back of the boat, he jumped in and
They
pushed
start
the boat
pushing it, yeah.
forward. It was like, my god, this guy is like, wow, he is a beast. He is a beast. What I do like though is that, because I've noticed that a lot of the challenges with Survivor US have become less physical. I like the fact
Mm,
that this is a physical and mental combo. Like you have
right.
like you tire everyone out with a physical challenge, and then in the end, oh no, that's not the end of it all. You're gonna have to do a puzzle, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that. And yeah, did you like this challenge?
You know, I don't I know. I remember Survivor challenges from back in the day being fun. This just seemed like torture. This is this was like some like jigsaw level, like, hey, do you want to play a game? It's like back in the day they had to make like an SOS that could be seen from like a plane, that was cool. But this is just like
But then again,
torture.
it is like, yeah. I guess it goes back to the idea that seasons 41 and 42 are supposedly more intense. So
Yeah, yeah,
it really tests the castaways that much, right? Uh,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, the challenge. I hope that the balance of physical. Again, I'm coming from someone who regularly watches Australian Survivor. Australian Survivor is like a throwback. A lot of
Yeah,
the physical challenges are like physical challenges, like you have to knock your opponent out, something like that.
yeah.
Those are the challenges in
Oh,
Australian Survivor. But
uh,
it's
the,
yeah,
I don't know. The challenges I remember were like keep your hand on this post for as long as possible. Apparently, they don't do that anymore.
that was Survivor. That was season one.
Yeah, or like stand on this thing for the longest.
Mm,
Like
they actually
apparently
do
they
that
don't do
in
those.
Australian Survivor. They still do
Yeah,
that. It
like
was yeah.
apparently they don't do those anymore because like I don't know. Jeff doesn't want to stay there until like 2 in the morning.
But yeah, you could really see the difference between Survivor US and Australian Survivor. But yeah, hopefully they do a lot more physical challenges. I hope that because they have physical threats in this before Jonathan or even Mike or Rox get voted out. I hope that they do physical challenges where they pit all of these physical threats against each other.
Yeah.
That would be fun to watch on TV.
So I
Uh,
was no. Oh,
yeah.
I was speaking about like Jonathan though, like something that just popped to mind. Like, I was listening to I can't remember another podcast, and something that they mentioned was the physical threats when put in a state where they can't eat, where they
Mhm.
when where they don't have that, like they get hit harder than the non-physical threats,
Mhm.
like a I don't know if that's I don't know if that's going to be sort of exacerbated by the shorter season and the more physical
Mhm.
sort of nature of it.
And the fact
But
that they don't have rice.
yeah, they don't have rice,
Mhm.
right? So like
So there's no
you know
source for energy.
yeah,
Yeah,
so I don't know how true that is, right? That like the physically stronger ones get hit harder once hunger starts to kick in.
that is actually all an observation that's actually something that's also highlighted in Australian Survivor, because a lot of their big dudes, uh they're the ones who get hungrier faster,
Yeah,
and they need to eat a lot more than others. But because on Survivor, everyone is supposed to have an equal amount of everything, right? That's how they ration out the food. So a
yeah,
lot of these stronger castaways suffer later on, because they don't get the amount of calories that they need to run at optimum, or at close to their optimum. So yeah, we'll
yeah.
see how Jonathan fares later on in the season.
Yeah. So what did you think of the immunity challenge?
I I I liked it, not necessarily because of the challenge, but because of how Jonathan was just a beast on it. Like yeah, um ah, whew. I like the fact that again, I like the fact that it was a combo of physical and mental, and uh although it's not like the kind of physical that I'm looking for. um I I agree with you that it felt a lot like torture, especially the physical part. Having to if you're not a Jonathan, how would you be able to put those heavy crates inside the boat that easily? I mean, Ika Ika dropped their first, that was the first one, right? They dropped it into the water, and they had to push it onto, I mean, it became a point for Drea later on. They had to push it into the boat, and then they were having a hard time doing the entire challenge. They were having a hard time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and And you could also yeah, so it was really torture. I'm sure that it was a lot more torture for a castaway like Daniel, for example. Effectively, he couldn't use his right arm.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, and they needed to row, and you could see it. He was still feeling the effects of the dislocated shoulder because it doesn't feel perfect right away, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people, when they get a dislocated shoulder, right afterwards they'd have a sling so that
Yeah,
they don't
it's
move
still
it as
sore.
much, right? But no.
That's actually something that I noticed. Like, after his shoulder got dislocated, I kept on looking to see like how much he would be using it, and like true enough. In it was either in this challenge or when they were taking the shot for paddling away, he was only using one arm.
Yeah, right. Yeah, hopefully it doesn't become, because the medical did say that there is a chance that it gets worse or it can get
Yeah,
dislocated again. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully we don't get a second medivac with
yeah,
Daniel. Yeah.
yeah,
Green
yeah.
got ahead. Uh, yeah, because Jonathan's team, Jonathan's Taku got left behind because they hit a snag with the net, right? Something happened in the net while they were pushing the boat. Uh,
Yeah.
and again, Jonathan, being the beast he was, he just lifted the boat and pushed it forward. It was like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna be able to push it up the ramp. I'm just gonna lift it and then lift it over, right? And then yeah, I mean Jenny had a head start in the puzzle, but things just fell into place for Romeo and who was with him? Uh, I know it wasn't Romeo. It was
No,
Omar and
Romeo sat out.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
Omar and I forget who the other one was. Yeah, but for them, yeah, they won. It was a come from behind. But yeah, but Vati came close second. Was a close second with Ika.
They were like 15 minutes behind by that point, right? Like
Yeah,
20 minutes behind by that point.
yeah, and you could really see it was observable that Zach was giving up.
Mm.
He wasn't he was his mind was blank already. He was placing a puzzle piece. They made a point of highlighting it that he placed a puzzle piece on top just for the sake of putting something there.
Yeah.
And then you could see by the end their puzzle pieces were on the board, but it wasn't making any sense. So yeah, and then he did say it. He did say it that the physical really got him out of the game, and everything, all of his memory work about the puzzles, because I think that the puzzle is something that's happened in previous seasons, but his memory work of the puzzles didn't work anymore because his mind wasn't working anymore.
Mm.
So yeah, so Ika lost, and yeah, we get to the final scramble of Ika. Uh, it was yeah, a lot of it was a toss up between Roxroy because Drea was pushing a Roxroy vote, and then and then Zach, for some reason, one reason or another, uh, maybe because of the puzzle. But then again, if it's because of the puzzle, why wasn't Swathi also in the mix?
Yeah.
And then you've got Tori because of her looking for an idol, right?
See, was it, was it like because Zach made such a big deal out of losing it? Like he just gave everybody he just
The
gave
argument,
everybody sort of the excuse to just vote him out. Like it became easy at that point,
maybe, maybe
right?
because I wouldn't, had it not been for him saying that, it probably wouldn't have crossed people's minds
Yeah.
to
I mean,
vote
like
him out.
it's usually just like, hey, sorry, man, and then
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we were so behind. I did my best. I'm sorry. You know,
Yeah.
like you would use screwing up the puzzle as like an excuse, not as an excuse, but as the reason to get rid of somebody if they squander a huge lead,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? But this
Like if
was,
Green lost, Jenny would have been like on the chopping block for sure. Right?
yeah, yeah. So like, you know, was it because he made such a big deal out of it that, like, you know, all of the lasers started getting pointed in his direction?
Maybe. Or again, we don't see all of the footage. There probably was something else that happened. Uh because we don't get to see in the tribal we get to see the aftermath. Tori and Zach have an exchange about them not wanting to work with each other anymore, but we don't get to see that conversation when where that happened, where that became the conclusion, right?
Yeah, because they were like the young people. They were like the young
Yeah,
people
they were the
alliance, right?
Young People Alliance, and for the most part, a lot of them were thinking Tory,
Yeah.
right? A lot of them were thinking Tory because of that whole thing about her looking for an idol, and all of a sudden it became a Zach thing.
Yeah,
Uh,
like how did that happen? I wonder.
yeah, we don't have all of the information. I think I don't. I think that Survivor purposely did that. Either maybe because they think that it's not important to the story. I think that they feel that the argument was enough. They all of the evidence was enough for Zach to get voted out, or because they want us to look at like deleted scenes. they want they want Survivor fans to look for deleted scenes on CBS.com or wherever they have it, just to figure out. Maybe they want us to question why did Zach actually get voted out, right? And it was weird because uh, by tribal, uh, by tribal, everyone was everyone was anti Zach. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a unanimous vote.
The
It's so
first one,
weird.
right?
Yeah, he made a big deal out of it. Like, oh, I'm the first unanimous vote
He
on
gave a shout
Survivor.
out to Survivor Wiki.
Yeah, give a shout out to Survivor Wiki. You're gonna be something we can put my Survivor Wiki, right? So yeah,
That's actually in his Survivor Wiki. It
it
says there
already
like
is.
he made a reference. He made a reference to Survivor Wiki.
Oh, that okay. So yeah,
Like his last words on the show were a reference to Survivor Wiki. So
yeah, it goes back to the whole thing that he's not really there for the game. He's not
yeah.
there for the game. He's not a fan of the game. Uh, and I going into the tribal, going to the tribal council, I I liked how, and you could see it. You could see how Jeff Probst has evolved from how he was just a presenter back in the first few seasons. Now he actually looks for nonverbal cues from the survivors, from the castaways. He
Yeah.
I what's my note here? He was playing therapist with the therapist. Like as soon as Zach said that started talking about the tiff that he had with Tori, and then Tori all of a sudden crossed her arms and then folded her legs. Oh, and then moved away from Zach,
Yeah.
pointed herself away from Zach. Probes was like, and you could really see how like Tori's body
Body
language, right?
language.
Yeah, and like wow, Probes being a therapist, playing therapist, and doing it on a therapist. That
Therapist.
is so cool.
I wonder what Tori, what went through Tori's mind there. Like, whoa, did I just do that? Like, was that like a subconscious, you know,
Yeah,
or is this like next level where she's like, this is how people are going to think about me reacting, so I'll react in this way. I don't know.
probably, but no, you. I think that it was subconscious because right after Probes mentioned that, Tori all of a sudden opens up, and then her legs are on the, or both her feet are on the floor, and then she's like back to her
Yeah.
first pose. So I think that she really got caught. Probes caught her nonverbals, and she was
Alright.
good on Probes, man. I like the fact that Probes. I like his evolution as a presenter, as a host. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, something that stood out to me
Hmm.
was I don't know if this is something that Probst has done, but like he got Zach to say the line.
Mm, mm. Again, playing to him being a fan of the show.
But well, I was listening to one of his exit interviews, and it's interesting because that was the work of the editor, because Probst said, I know you've been wanting to say it,
Mhm.
and then Zach was like, say what? Like,
Oh.
and then Jeff says the line about, fire being your life, and then that's when he says, in this game your life is represented by fire, blah blah blah. So that was spliced together. You can see the cut.
Oh, I didn't know that. So there's a deleted part where he didn't actually know what he was supposed to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. So much for
Interesting.
being a super
Interesting.
fan of the show. But I actually found it funny, his whole thing about you get to camp and then I was like, where is the montage? At least he made me laugh for
Yeah.
when he said that. Yeah, this is the second time that the shot in the dark was played. The shot in the dark was
Correctly
played.
this time.
Yeah, correctly this time. Too bad that it didn't yield the result that player that player wanted, right? Uh,
Yeah, but the last time it was used, the first time it was used by Sydney, right?
yeah, it was Yuba Sydney.
Like if she had voted, they could have forced a split vote.
Hmm.
It would have been a tie, right? Because it was a 3-1.
Yeah, yeah,
And so if she had, yeah, so this was like the correct way to use it.
because
I
yeah,
mean, he shouldn't have, if he shouldn't have gotten into that position in the first place when Tori was such an obvious target.
yeah,
But
he
you
painted
know,
the target on his back. Yeah, he did his own game and whew,
uh,
yeah. But what one thing I did note though, but this is that I think that Jeff probably made a. I'm not sure if it's an actual mistake, but I think that he flubbed because he said that Zach was the second person voted out of Survivor
yeah,
32.
yeah. I
Right?
also noticed that. I also noticed that.
Yeah, because Jackson was medevac, so he could have he probably went through it and was like, okay, I'm not gonna retake this. Let's just go ahead with that.
Yeah, because apparently tribals are very long, right? That's like an
Yeah,
hour long shot, an hour long shoot or something.
yeah. So yeah, it was like, okay, oh, probes. Okay, you missed out there. Yeah. So yeah, anything else? Anything else you noticed on that tribal?
Question:
Mm.
what happens if, like, I don't know, it goes to a revote, right? Like
If
if the shot in the dark, because the
oh
shot in the dark, the shot in the dark cancels out all of the
yeah,
votes for the person. Does that make does the shot in the dark saying safe make Zach safe for the whole
I
night?
think so. Because actually what I understand from 41, didn't the person who got the shot in the dark have to leave tribal if it was a
I don't
successful?
remember. I don't remember the
It,
explanation.
it would have been as if that person was never in tribal.
Okay, all
So
right, all right.
if I remember correctly, yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. Out you guys out there, correct me in the comments. But yeah, if I remember correctly, if the shot in the dark was successful, the person leaves tribal. It's as if that person was never at in the tribal. So I'm guessing it's a revote.
All right.
Had to think that had Zach gotten that 1 in 6 chance, he would have been safe. He would have had a chance to play the game more. personally, I'm happy that he didn't get that 1 in 6 chance because yeah, I'm there for the players who play.
I'm glad that it was actually used correctly this time.
Yeah, because it was correctly used. He was desperate. He knew that there was a target on his back. Uh, he probably didn't anticipate that it was going to be a unanimous vote. Uh,
Actually,
yeah, but yeah, and I was surprised that no votes were thrown at Tory because he had the bigger she had a bigger boo boo compared to Zach, in my opinion. Uh,
why did Romeo, who is supposedly Zach's bigger ally,
yeah, I,
well,
I'm
that was I don't know.
I'm guessing that because if didn't like Drea come in with the idea that it's supposed to be rocks, right?
Yeah,
Gonna be rocks, and then and then all of a sudden, uh, yeah, all of a sudden, and then Romeo reminds her that okay, we have this old guy alliance with rocks, so it's not gonna be rocks. So, but the name that she puts out, that no, sorry, that he puts out was Tori,
yeah,
right? And then when he talks to Rocks and Swati, that's when that's when he found out about the Zach thing. But he didn't want to because they got that skinny guy alliance. It was so weird. I guess because again, a lot of the talk probably in camp was all about how Zach probably presented himself as like the puzzle guy. Because even Tori mentioned it in the end, right before the scene shifted to tribal.
yeah.
Good work with the puzzle, yada yada, right?
Oh man,
So yeah, he
that's
really
so bad.
painted a target on his back.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I'm still surprised that it was a unanimous vote, right? Wasn't it a
yeah.
surprisingly a unanimous vote?
See, I don't know because like the way that I can think, um, it's always good to be on the right side of the vote.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm,
even like if you can
yeah.
see that there's an overwhelming, like your vote isn't going to matter in Survivor, you will throw your vote towards the person that
Mhm.
the majority is voting for to be on the right side of the vote.
Yeah. Yeah. Just a note. That's only on Survivor, guys. Okay. That's only on Survivor. In other things, vote with your conscience. Okay. Anyway,
You notice
uh,
how I said in Survivor?
yeah, in Survivor. Okay, that's a big reminder, right? Every vote counts in real life. Okay, yeah, but yeah, I do agree. It might have been that some of the people who some of the others who didn't want to be perceived as okay because if they knew that Zach was on the way out, they wouldn't want to be they wouldn't want to go back to camp with the person that they voted for starting to bear a grudge against them, right?
Yeah. And then at that point it's 3-2.
Hmm.
And if there are two people that voted for or that didn't vote for Zach, you know that those two are going to be in some sort of minority alliance.
Yeah.
And since it isn't, individual immunity that can screw up a majority, the only thing that saves them is a team challenge,
Mm-hmm.
which well that was that was like their that was their justification for keeping Tori strength.
Mm, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I suppose
Because
that was the
I
calculated play there.
yeah, I guess Tori is a little is more. I'm not sure. We've only seen them do two challenges. Tori was a fast runner, I guess. And then at
But
one point during the immunity challenge, she did like shout at Zach to get away because uh, because Zach was like waddling all over the place, and she was like carrying the chest, and she was like, "Okay, yeah, I guess that you could say that, right?"
yeah,
They're
but I
probably
think that was that was sort of the justification of Sinner Roxroy and
mm,
of Roxroy and Swati. What's her name again?
mm,
Swati. That
Vote for
was like
strength.
their
It's too bad that they didn't think that
justification.
the skinny guy could be strong.
Oh well.
Okay, yeah, so yeah, that's the reason why you have the blue background. Wait, let me go ahead and join you with a blue background. Uh, so yeah, there you go.
Yeah, no.
In
The
honor
next
of
time.
in honor of our boy, well, not really our boy, in honor of Zach. Uh, yeah, Zach gets voted out unanimously. 5-0. Yeah, because he didn't get to cast the vote. But someone who does have an extra vote now and is piling up on her advantages, Drea.
Yeah.
Drea. Oh my gosh, she is piling up those advantages.
She's making it to the merge.
Yeah. Yeah. Although if you watch the mid and post credits scenes, uh, Tori did mention that okay, I've seen the way to go moving forward. It's to vote out Drea. So one way or another, it may have her advantages may have gotten found out. So
What's it? Another post game interview that I saw with Zach.
mhm,
He mentioned something about how Drea, when she got back from
the summit.
um yeah, when she got back from Prisoner's Dilemma, um when people asked her like what was there, her answer was something like nothing. They made us walk up a hill. There was nothing there, but we know that there's an advantage on that island. Like that was supposedly
It
her
was so
answer.
sus.
Which makes me wonder, you know, if she gets voted out eventually. I want to see what her post game interview is like as a
Mhm,
reaction to that. Like, so Zach said that, you know, when you went up, you said that there was nothing there.
mhm.
But yeah, that would have been really sus.
Yeah, yeah, and but the thing, yeah, and it for me, it's suspicious that we don't get to see that on the show, that they
Yeah.
didn't feature that on the show, probably to really tailor fit the track towards, like, Zach is the guy that's gonna get voted out, right?
Yeah.
Because if they had put in all of that, okay, Drea's in danger, yeah, and all of that, right? So that might have happened. So yeah, that's episode one of season 42 of Survivor. Before we let you go, Joe, final thoughts on episode one.
It served its purpose, right? We were, you know, introduced to a lot of really good characters. Um Chanel.
Chanel is the purple for this one. Chanel, that's our opinion. That's the council's opinion right now. Chanel is purple.
Yeah. You know, and I really like her from what I saw, you know, like, oh, Chanel. Yeah.
But
Hoping
then
for
again,
a hoping for like an under the radar story here.
mm, mm. Hopefully but it's just the first episode. We don't know yet. Maybe
Yeah.
in later episodes she gets featured more. Hopefully not on the episode that she gets voted out. Right, because that's what they usually do with purples. If
Yeah.
they're already on the way out, okay, let's feature this person. Right. So
A
yeah.
great cast.
Mhm,
They were introduced very well.
mhm.
For the most part, a lot of them were set up for their arcs, or at least the way that I'm seeing it. A lot of them are set up for their arcs. We are seeing their flaws, and if Survivor is going to tell us the story, I hope that we can see them overcome those flaws. You
Nice.
know, we get to see how Roxroy becomes less of a bossy guy, or you know, um, we get to see um we get to see Jonathan like transcend being the beefcake, like
Become a strategic player. Right?
yeah, become a strategic player, right? So, we get to see like Mike reinvent the way he is perceived by the rest of his tribe. So, like we're getting a lot of good setup for what I'm hoping is a great season.
Yeah, yeah. I think that Marianne got it right. She likened she likened being on Survivor as a roller coaster. And I think that this episode, and I hope that this season, it's setting us up for that, a roller coaster. This episode showed us like it was a roller coaster of emotions. Right? We had a lot of funny stuff. We had a lot of heavy stuff as well. Uh, yeah, and I think that moving forward, I hope that that's the kind of story that's the kind of story that Survivor 42 tells. Um, the first episode was really an emotional roller coaster for me, and it really, like you said, it did its job. It's set up. It's good exposition. We're still at we're still in the first part of Survivor. We're still getting to know some of these characters, some of these castaways, and I like the fact that they are featuring them a whole lot more than if in my recollection, not a lot of people get this amount of confessionals right off the bat. I think only Chanel was the one with only one confessional. Everyone else had multiple confessionals. I think, right? Yeah. So yeah, and I'm excited to see where this is gonna lead. Right? I'm excited to see where this is gonna lead.
Can I just say,
yeah.
when you said this episode had a lot of heavy stuff, I was like, the boats.
That's true, both literal and emotional. Yeah, yeah, a lot of heavy stuff. And you've got Jonathan just picking them up and steering them wherever they needed to go. maybe that's the story. It's all heavy, but you've got the guy who overcomes everything by just carrying, by lifting up the story. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is it for this episode of the Council of Titos. Season 42 is off to an interesting start, and we can already see that season is gonna be different. This has been Chief Bisdak Joel Parcon. Thank you once again to Vice Chief Bisdak Jao for
That's a
joining.
mouthful. Maybe we should like not.
VCB. There you go, VCB Jao.
Hey, what's up? VCB?
There you go. All right,
Virgin Coconut Boy.
That might just become your moniker, man. Well, anyway, hopefully for the next episode, the council will have a complete lineup, and Martin will be able to join us as well. Until then, stay safe, everyone. This has been Laro Laro Lang, the Council of Titos. The Titos have spoken.